It's time for the Blue Arcade Schools video of the day. Now for the daily holidays. It's National Face Your Fears Day. National Pasta Day. Yummy yum. It's Mulligan Day, which means if you messed up, you get a free chance to try it again. And it's 4 Prunes Day. It's a challenge to eat 4 prunes today. Oh my, I don't know if we can do that one. And now for this day in St. Clair history.
Hey, I'm Chris Troy, host of St. Clair County RISA's Moment in History, and I'm here at the Museum of Arts and History in downtown Port Huron. Now, in 1904, Pittsburgh-based steel magnetic and philanthropist Andrew Carnegie constructed and donated to the city of Port Huron a structure to be used as the new Port Huron City Library. The building cost $40,000 and was designed by Chicago architects Patton and Miller, who used the Beaux Arts design while building the building. Following the merger of the Port Huron City Library with the St. Clair County Library in 1967, the building was slated for demolition. But through the dedicated efforts of concerned volunteers, the Museum of Arts and History opened its doors May 3, 1968, bringing a home to many historic artifacts that had been scattered citywide. The museum now hosts such events as a night in the museum where children spend the night amongst the displays, to hosting traveling and local exhibits. Just recently, the Museum of Arts and History completed a $19,000 renovation to its front steps, making access to the museum safe and easy. For Moment in History Extra, I'm Chris Troy, reminding you all that history lives in all of us.
Now it's time for Unleash the Gospel. In today's Unleash the Gospel, we look at the statement by the Archbishop that says, Jesus makes all things anew. And that comes from the second book of Acts, chapters 1 through 4, when it says, when the time for Pentecost was fulfilled, they were all in one place together, and suddenly there came from the sky a noise like a strong driving wind, and it filled the entire house in which they were. Then there appeared to them tongues as of fire, which parted and came to rest on each of them. And they were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in different tongues, as the Spirit enabled them to proclaim. The Archbishop says it's time for us, and through God, to renew His church in the Archdiocese of Detroit. And how we're going to do that? By the power of the Holy Spirit. To learn more about that, check in tomorrow for Unleash the Gospel.
This is Franciscan Media's Saint of the Day for October 17th. Today we celebrate Saint Ignatius of Antioch. Born in Syria just a few years after Jesus' death, Ignatius was a convert to Christianity who eventually became Bishop of Antioch. On a long journey from Antioch to Rome, Ignatius wrote the 7 letters for which he has become well known. 5 of them are directed to churches in Asia Minor. Ignatius urges his fellow Christians to remain faithful to God and to obey their superiors. He also warns them against heresies and emphasizes the solid truths of Christian faith. The 6th is directed to Polycarp, Bishop of Smyrna, who was later martyred. On a visit to Antioch, Emperor Trajan forced the Christians there to choose between death and denying their faith. Ignatius refused to deny Christ and was condemned to be put to death in Rome. In his final letter, Ignatius begs the Christians in Rome not to try to stop his martyrdom. "The only thing I ask of you," he wrote, "is to allow me to offer the libation of my blood to God." His request granted, Ignatius bravely met the lions in the Circus Maximus around the year 107. There's more about the saints.
Our verse today is from the Gospel of John. Abide in me as I abide in you, just as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who abide in me and I in them bear much fruit, because apart from me you can do nothing. Bible trivia, how many books are there in the Old Testament? The answer is 39. A little bit of a toughie today. Who is Jonathan's best friend? And joke of the day, why couldn't the pirate play cards? Because he was always on the deck. Everybody have a great day.